What's up guys, James here from BootWizard Boot Reviews, and today we're doing an unboxing of a football boot that when it arrived at my door has taken me completely by surprise. Now before these arrived I didn't have much information on the boots at all. A couple of website pictures and a couple of random press pictures and a little bit of seeing pros wearing them. And what I was expecting and what I got were two completely different things. So we are going to be looking at one of the oddest looking boots that I have had come into BootWizard for a while. It's going to be the Under Armour Magnetico Control. So first impressions of the Magnetico Control is that in this colorway it is certainly distinctive. That black base with those orange lines that run all the way around, somewhat of like a sand pattern is what I imagine it to look like, as if you were to draw patterns in the sand. But it's not a solid orange line, this is three orange lines that run around the boot. Again, something that I hadn't quite picked up on the pictures. And then that is the same across the tongue area being a standard construction tongue. What are your first impressions? Put them down in the comments so I can see what you think right now. Plenty of branding to go through. You've got the two Under Armour logos on the heel, and now they're slightly embossed and have a ridged texture to them. It doesn't do anything, but it's just there for the sake of looks. The Magnetico branding down the back. So Under Armour are clearly going with Magnetico as the main name and then adding something extra. So we now have the Magnetico Control as well as last year's Magnetico Pro and the new Magnetico SL. So if you want to see an unboxing of that Magnetico Pro SL, do subscribe to the channel because that's coming soon as well. You've also got the Under Armour branding down the standard construction tongue and then the Form True branding on the front here. That is the material that the whole boot is made out of, which is somewhat of a very thin leather-like synthetic. Again, we'll go through all of that in the full tech spec review, but it certainly is incredibly thin and very, very soft out of the box. So the thing that really confused me, or was really unexpected when these arrived, was quite simply the upper and this ridged texture that is in it. So you can see quite clearly, especially in the medial side, these ridges that run down the black area of the boot, which gives the boot somewhat of a texture. It's not as pronounced as something like the Predator, but it is definitely there. It is definitely something you can feel. Now, what I was expecting from the pictures was for this to be even more pronounced. I wasn't expecting this type of material, and I was expecting those ridges to be a little bit more Predator-esque in terms of how much they stood out. As it turns out, because the material is so thin, these ridges are actually not as pronounced as I was expecting, and it's a much smoother boot. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just a surprise. It's because of the way that the boot is designed. It kind of has a bit of an optical illusion, where it does make those orange bits look as if they're more recessed than they actually are. If you remember the Magnetico Pro from last year, they did have a tendency to kind of explode a little bit because they were so unbelievably thin, and this is the same material. So we do have extra reinforcement along the toe box area here. This extra kind of ribbing texture around the boot also adds some extra structure, so this should be something that is less of a problem with this Magnetico Control. And then obviously we move around onto the sole plate, which is identical to that of the previous generation Magnetico Pro, which is an interesting choice because this is the Magnetico Control, which is technically a different line, a different lineage from the Magnetico Pro. The Magnetico Pro has now gone to the Magnetico Pro SL, and it does not have this sole plate. The design is pretty cool. It retains those concentric circle style elements that you get on the upper in the orange and black, and then fades out through this web pattern into pure black at the back with the big X stiffening bar. All the studs are conical with a few little support studs, which, as with the Magnetico Pro that this has come off, do absolutely nothing. But I think it's a good looking sole plate, but I'm not sure that I actually think the boot is good looking. I bought it because it looked weird, and while it's less weird when it arrived, it's still not a good looking boot. I would almost go as far to say that this is a reasonably ugly boot despite having quite a nice silhouette. The design, for me, it's not the best. So that's our first look, our unboxing of the Under Armour Magnetico Control. Do let me know what you think of this down in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed because this is going to be a very interesting review. Remember to like the video, and you can click just here to get some more of my Boot Wizard unboxings. Well, that's everything from us here today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.